welcome to season 2 of TBI Uncovered. The platform now allows traumatic brain survivors, those with brain injuries, brain conditions, stroke survivors, the wheelchair community, caregivers, medical professionals, organizations, and anyone suffering with brain injuries to share their stories and provide tips and resources to those impacted. Today, I have a wonderful guest on today's personality and has an amazing story. She survived a stroke, so we're going to hear her stroke story. So I'm going to bring her in now. Hi.
Hello, Erica.
How are
Hi.
you?
I'm
How are
doing
you?
well. Thank you
Good.
so much for having me. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. You look beautiful. I love yellow. You look beautiful in your yellow. I
Thank
love
you.
it. I
It's
love
my
it.
favorite color.
Nice too. Yeah, I love it. So I want to talk about so much. But first, I want to ask you to introduce yourself and to dive into your story.
Absolutely. Well, my name is Karissa J Johnson, also known as 7 by 30, SEVENBY 30. I had a desire to explore all 7 continents before the age of 30, and thank the Lord I was able to accomplish that in 2015, with Antarctica being my last continent.
Wow.
And I consider myself an ATM. I'm an author, a teacher, and a missionary. And in those in those different roles, you're constantly giving out, but I'm only able to give out because of what I've been poured in. And I've been so blessed with so many remarkable people all around the world who have poured into me. My family, my church family, my friends, my community have invested so much, and in turn I'm able to give out. So that's just a little bit about me. And I had a stroke at 21.
Wow. You're a baby. You're young. Wow.
Yes.
Once adulthood. So what was that like, and what was that experience like for you?
I still really am in shock that it happened to me. I was 21 years old. I mean, still processing it. I'm
Mhm.
now 35. I'll be 36 in July. And I was 21 years old,
Mhm.
a senior in college
Mhm.
at Oral Roberts University in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And it was 2 weeks before my scheduled graduation date.
Wow.
And I was studying in a friend's room, and I had honestly just not felt right all day.
Mhm.
And um, I just couldn't put my finger on it. And I sensed, like, it even wasn't necessarily a physical thing. It was like, honestly, a spiritual thing. I knew something was off.
Right.
And so to be in my friend's room studying, I felt something that was off. And so I called her. She was out with some friends. I called her on her phone, and as I started to speak, I realized that my speech was slurred. And
Mhm.
I was saying to her, I think that something's wrong, but it was very slow. I think that something's wrong. But she was in a car full of people. And
Right.
so she was like, okay, I'll talk to you later. Bye. She couldn't
Yeah.
understand what I was saying. I'm like,
I can hear
no.
you.
So
Hmm.
my apartment, I was a head resident advisor on campus. My
Okay.
apartment was and the dorm was all the way on the other side of campus. So I'm like, all right, I don't know what's wrong, but that was not right. What I just
Mhm.
heard. So I'm like, let me just get my things. I gathered my things. I walked around, across campus, and like while I'm walking, people are like, and I don't yeah, like, are you okay?
Yeah.
I don't, huh?
I was saying, yeah, like, look at you, like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah. And
Hmm.
so, I don't have a mirror as I'm walking, but when I got to my dorm, I knew I just knew. I was like, something is wrong. So I
Yeah.
went and I looked in the mirror, and at that point my mouth had pulled to the right.
Mm.
So I knew that I needed to go get help, and I just went down to another RA's room, and she opened the door, and she saw that my mouth had been pulled to the side. And my speech by then, I don't even remember all that I was able to say at that point. But she called for the ambulance, and by the time that they got there, the whole right side
Hmm.
was not working. So, the acronym for stroke is face, arm, speech, time. So it's FAST. The
Mhm.
acronym is FAST:
Okay.
face, arm,
Um,
speech,
speech
time.
time.
Time to call 911.
Okay.
So in
Yeah.
that order, just about that happened. For me, my
Mhm.
face was affected, my arm,
Right.
and my speech was affected as well. And it was surely time. And so it over the
Mhm.
course of several weeks and really months, it took me, time to really get back to where I was, even down to, losing the ability to lift a fork.
Mhm.
Like I remember it taking all of the strength in my being to
Mhm.
try to
Pick up.
raise, yeah, to raise a pencil, or to pick up a fork. I remember I had gone for an MRI and another MRI or CAT scan during the
Mhm.
first week that it happened, and I had been improving some with, with my walking, and I wasn't
Mhm.
dragging my leg as much. And
Okay.
my aunt was there in Tulsa with me, and I remember going to the ER and telling her I wanted to try to sign my name,
Mhm.
basically, trying to communicate that to her. And
Right.
I remember grabbing, and it still brings me to tears to this day,
Mhm.
grabbing the pen and going to sign, and I just tipped over.
Hello.
I
Oh.
just I just fell over. The
Mhm.
wires were all still so crossed,
Mhm.
that my system just I just collapsed.
Mhm.
And so, it was humiliating,
Okay.
to lose what is your sense of normalcy.
Mhm.
It was beyond humbling, to
Yeah.
lose all that, and not have what's been your norm all this time.
Yeah.
I think, with traumatic brain injuries, that I went through counseling, to try
Mhm.
just processing, and I'm still processing now. But to go back to that point where I signed, tried to sign my name, what I learned from that is that at least I was making efforts
Yes.
to improve. At least I was making efforts to heal. And that happened again with me trying to raise my spoon to have some soup
Mhm.
again. But that you have to be patient. As someone
Absolutely.
who's still on the healing journey, I'm still on the healing journey. I've learned to be patient with myself
Absolutely.
and to celebrate the small wins.
Myself. Yes.
Um,
Yes.
yeah. And
Absolutely.
even with my speech, I'm a singer. And so I heard from someone who knew about stroke survivors. They said, with your speech, if you sing, that brings the right brain and the left brain together, and
Okay.
that can help heal your speech. Now,
Mhm.
that doesn't work for everyone,
Yeah.
obviously. Everybody, I'm very adamant about,
Everybody
everybody
is very
is
different.
different.
Absolutely.
Every single body
Yes.
is
I
different.
agree.
So,
Definitely.
what works for one person may
Yes.
not
Whenever.
work for
Yes.
everyone. But
So.
for me, I remember just singing, and when I would sing, I wouldn't stutter, because I got to a point with this stroke where it wasn't just the slurred speech; it was this
Yeah.
just
Stuttering.
constant stuttering.
Mhm.
And I mean, I had a mild stutter when I was younger, but I had really been big on speaking. I competed
Mhm.
in speech and
Yeah.
everything, and was
Mhm.
an award winning speaker. So to be stripped of your speech is like,
Right.
what?
It's like.
I can't do
Yeah.
it. I can't say my
Yeah.
name without stuttering. But I
Yeah.
started to sing. I started singing, and that helped to mend my speech. And it was a slow process, and
Mhm.
man, it really broke me when you know exactly what you want to say,
But you
but
can't
you
say
can't
it.
get the words out.
So frustrated. Yeah.
Man,
Yes.
you can relate.
I went to 4 months of not talking, not being able to talk. So absolutely, so frustrating. At least you could get some kind of sound out. I couldn't get anything out, like nothing. So
No, but
yes,
you could think it, right?
I am. I definitely think it, but can convey it. Couldn't pronounce it. So
Oh my
frustrating.
goodness.
Yes, yeah, very
Yes.
frustrating.
Yes. And patience,
Mm,
patience, taking me to where I am now. uh, I've dealt with pain nerve pain. I've seen neurologists, neurosurgeons, uh, been diagnosed with hemiplegic migraines,
Hmm.
where sometimes that affects the vision. So I'll have like lightning flashing, or
Hmm.
aura type migraines, or
Wow.
or even now, my face sometimes will pull to the side, so I'll have
Even
facial spasms.
wow.
And then the right side sometimes will become numb. I've learned that lower stress, keeping a stress low,
Hmm.
and my happy high, it helps
Hmm.
with my system,
Yeah.
it helps with my body. So if
That's
my
good.
happy is high and my stress is low, usually, and I'm moving, I'm big on movement, helps move it. So when
Mhm.
I am feeling maybe some stroke pain, I
Yeah.
try to do some sort of movement, whether it's stretching, whether it's getting fresh air.
Hmm.
My big thing is time outdoors always restores. So
So,
sometimes,
I love that.
yeah, time outdoors always restores. So just getting a little fresh air, it can
Mhm.
really refresh your mind and your body. But I've
Mhm.
really learned a lot about patience in this journey, and patience and pace,
That's
because no matter what I wanted in my mind, my body said, take a little
good.
rest.
Yes. Take
And
time.
you're going to have to be patient as
Yes.
you heal. That's something very traumatic that
Yeah.
happens. And
Absolutely.
your norm for someone in their 30s, they want to get up and go, or they want to talk on the phone, or they want to text, but
Yeah.
when your hands shut down,
It's like, what do you do?
when your mouth doesn't work anymore, and
Hmm.
your speech is done,
Hmm.
like having my mouth stuck here, man, it was scary. It was
Hmm.
scary, but I'm grateful that I believed. I think that if I did not do the mental work to
Hmm.
believe, um, my story could potentially be different.
Hmm.
Um, but for me, it was a lot of mental work to say I can, and literally putting my left hand over my right hand to
And lift you up.
practice
Hmm.
writing.
Emotion.
Everybody is different, and I'm very, very fortunate and grateful, um, that I've been able to progress as much as I have, and that the healing journey is still happening. I'm believing and praying for complete healing and restoration.
Okay.
Yet I'm grateful for how far I've come.
So did you have speech therapy? Did you have any other type of therapy, like occupational therapy, or was it
Like
just speech therapy?
physical therapy, and just
Okay.
independent. Yeah,
So
that was.
you didn't have speech therapy?
No, I didn't have any
Okay.
official speech therapy.
Oh,
Not that I can recall, because honestly, some of it is a bit fuzzy. I know I
okay.
went to different specialists, but I didn't. No, I didn't end up having any speech therapy. Just
Okay.
really on my own. That was the big
Hmm.
thing, and then just some
Okay.
physical therapy. That was about it.
Okay. That's
Hmm.
interesting. 'Cause I know when I was in speech therapy, they would teach you to hum. Humming helps too as well.
Oh,
Hmm.
wow.
And it's kind of what you're saying about singing, because they get that tune going on, whatever. So they kind of goes in line with it. So it's all speech therapy with speech therapy. Because I'm like, maybe yeah, speech therapy. Because I'm like, because I know it's humming helps as well. Because you get your throat muscles like your throat muscles going again, things like that. So
Oh my goodness.
that's my speech
Oh,
therapy telling me it gets those muscles going, and yeah,
wow. No, I didn't know that.
yeah,
I was just told about the singing aspect.
yeah.
But that's what helped me, thankfully.
Because when I first started talking to you, it just came like out of nowhere. I was literally with my mom watching TV. Remember One Sixth Park? We were watching One Sixth
Yeah.
Park. We were watching that, and a video came on, and I remember hearing the song. I'm like, oh, I was thinking like, oh, I remember the song, and so I started humming it. My mom looked at me and was like, "Are you talking?" I'm like, "Am I?" Like, I didn't think I was. I'm just humming, and so she said, "Say hi, mom." I'm like, "Hi, mom." Like it was very like weird, but I was like, "Hi, mom," and it just came back like that, just out the guy just blessed my voice again, like brought it
Oh
back.
my
So
gosh.
yeah, so it was
That's
like, what? Like, oh my god, like for 4 months, Karissa, 4 months of no talking. to just out of word, just talking to you. So yeah,
Ooh, yeah, make
yeah,
me cry.
that, that's amazing.
I can't imagine that. I know this is your you interviewing me,
Yeah,
but how in the
yeah.
world was it hearing your first word, being able to say your first word?
I didn't think about it like that. I didn't think about anything because I didn't even know what happened. I didn't know anything. So I'm like, it just was there. I didn't even think like, oh, what happened to me? What even? I didn't think anything. I was just it just I'm just I was there. I just was existing. So but yeah,
Man,
it was wonderful. I'm like, why did you get so excited? Like, 'cause I could think in my mind, I could think in my mind, but I just can't get the words out. Then when I started talking, I was like, oh, okay, this is cool. Like, it's cool, but I didn't think anything of it. Like it was just like a normal thing. So
wow. Well,
yeah,
thank the
yeah,
Lord.
yes, yes. God gets glory for all of that. Um,
Hmm.
it's amazing, and you just tell me your experience is just like I'm sure it could have been frustrating as well. Because I think I suffered stroke on my right side, but my face and thing that wasn't impacted. It was just my arm was impacted in my leg.
Wow.
So beyond my face was not impacted at all. So yeah, that's I'm like wow, it's so different. Like, yeah, everybody's different. Everybody's body is different. So
It is. It
yeah,
is.
it's amazing how the body works.
Yeah, I remember like, being in the ER and they were, saying press your foot forward,
Hmm.
with so the left side no problem,
Hmm.
but the right side,
Yeah.
I just was like, I'm
Yeah. This.
thinking like I don't usually have to think this.
Hmm.
And it wouldn't, and raise your arm, no problem with the
Like this.
left,
Like.
but like it just, again, brings you to tears. Like
Yeah.
there's so much that you take for granted.
You do.
Um, there's so much, that we take for granted.
Absolutely.
Our speech, our activity of our limbs. You grow up saying that, but
Hmm.
until your activity of your limbs
The
are
fact.
not functioning,
Hmm.
you don't know how mentally you will even process it. And um, when I have those times where I'm having nerve pain or my hand sometimes, and it's just the right side still, um, that'll have like numbness or nerve pain. It's just like
Yeah.
I just want it to function.
Yeah.
I just want it to work how it was designed. But
Hmm.
again, I'm learning patience
That's right.
and pace.
Hmm.
Um, Patience, pace, and prayer, honestly, because
That's it. Yes.
that's what it takes. You can't rush healing, no matter if it's emotional or physical. You can't rush
Hmm.
it. And I'm once again, I'm grateful for where I've come and where I am now.
And where you going? Or you still going?
Where I'm
So
going,
it's,
where I'm
it's not.
going.
We're not done. We're not done. We're still mending. So we're not
That's
doing it.
right.
We're not
That's
there
right.
yet.
That's
Yes,
right.
we're the potter's wheel.
That's
So what's
right.
the most gratifying goal you've achieved thus far?
Say that one more time.
What's the most gratifying goal you've achieved thus far?
I would say accomplishing the goal of visiting all 7 continents before the
Hmm.
age of 30. I because that served as my victory lap. When I was afflicted in 2007 with the stroke, I was a senior in college.
Hmm.
2 weeks before my scheduled graduation date, it took me 4 extra years to
Hmm.
finish my
Hmm.
degree.
Wow.
A senior in college,
2 weeks. Wow.
2 weeks before graduation, I
Wow.
did not graduate.
Wow.
It took me 4 years to repeat classes,
Hmm.
starting and stopping, dropping in, dropping out,
Hmm.
and pausing, taking time to heal. I mean, it was a journey. So when I finally finished my degree in 2011,
Hmm.
I was like, and it's this is my 10-year anniversary of finishing my degree, thank the Lord. Um, when I finished, I was like, all right, Lord, how are we going to celebrate?
Right. What are you gonna
And I really
do?
felt led to take a trip abroad. And I took my first trip to London and Luton, England, and it took
Okay.
a day trip to Paris. And I was loved on so well when I went out there.
Hmm.
Um, the the jurisdiction that I visited in the Church of God in Christ is Kojic, UK, and they just loved on me really well. And so I came back home thinking, okay, I gotta see more of this world. And
Yes.
so as I explored, God led me to be able to share Christ with people on all 7 continents. So just through conversational evangelism, just sharing the goodness of the Lord, I was able to do that. So even all the way to Antarctica. And I remember just standing on top of one of the hills from one of our hikes. And I was in awe because, of course, who says I want to see 7 continents? Who
Nobody
says
says ever.
that?
Nobody ever
And
says everything.
I am like, who does this? And who says it and then actually happens? So, that was a huge sense of accomplishment for me and satisfaction and such a sweet reward to have that victory lap around the world, seeing God's creation, meeting his people. It was an honor. It was an honor to
What's your favorite continent?
Oh, well, I have so many favorites. I my first like, oh my gosh, I'm
Mm-hmm.
here, was my second African country. My
Okay.
first African country was Egypt, but my
Okay.
second was Kenya.
Kenya. Okay.
Kenya blew me away because I don't see in the media enough of the beautiful African beaches.
Mm-hmm.
The coastline is humongous. Think about the entire continent, but we don't really get to see highlighted the
Yeah.
beaches. And
Beaches.
so I got to spend time in Malindi and Mombasa, Kenya, which is on the coast, and spent time on the gorgeous beaches, and I was in awe. And then I even got to visit a pineapple plantation in Kenya as
Really?
well. I believe it's Del Monte. If it's not Del Monte, then it's Dole, but I'm almost positive it's the Del Monte, one of the Del
Mm-hmm.
Monte plantations. Pineapples
What was it?
in
You try one?
Oh my gosh, I had pineapples. I think I had papaya. I had mango. I had avocado. Truth be told,
Everything.
I smuggled some of the avocado
No.
back to Saudi Arabia. At the time, I was teaching at a university in Saudi Arabia, and I ended up taking some of the some of the avocados home because they were huge and they were so good. So I made sure I put some in my bag, and I didn't get in trouble. Thank the Lord. They were just so good. But you don't. I feel like we don't hear enough about
No.
the vegetation and the lush land and how
No.
gorgeous it is. I think that's something it's an honor to highlight that. So, at spending time in African countries was just like it. I just felt an honor that doesn't compare to anywhere else that I visited.
Mm.
I've been blessed to go to Ethiopia, Malawi, South Africa, Kenya, and Egypt. And hopefully I'll make it to West Africa. That's my desire, to make it there by the end of this year. So
Cool. It's so cool. You see pyramids in Egypt?
I did. I
Yeah.
did. Now my tour guide, the guy who was rolling with me, and I was on the camel and he was walking, and he had a horse as well. He let me actually climb on the pyramids, but word on the street is,
You know,
supposed to
like,
do that. Supposed to do it. Now, back, this is 2012 when I first went. So later
yeah.
on, I saw an article about a guy who had gotten arrested or something like
Oh
that for climbing.
wow.
I'm like, ooh, thank
I'm
you,
glad
Lord.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
hmm
we in Antarctica. Did you see any igloos?
No, I didn't see any igloos, but I did get to go into some of the research stations,
Mm-hmm.
and I got to meet some of the scientists that were there. So the only people who actually live in Antarctica are the scientists.
Hmm.
Basically, those are the ones who
Wow.
actually can live for a certain amount of time,
It's so
and
cold.
right, and then also because that's a territory that doesn't necessarily belong to anyone. You know what I mean? So like other governments are ruled differently, but Antarctica is very unique. So
Hmm.
different countries may have different stations where temporarily they can serve for a certain amount of time. So
Yeah.
that's something that's interesting about Antarctica. But I got to see lots of wildlife. That was just an honor to be able to see penguins in person and whales
Yes.
jumping through the water, and and seals, so many different types of seals, things that you look at in science books and you dream about maybe
Yeah, look
just.
at this real life, bro. This real life right now in real time, like real life. I know it's like, oh my god.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
Australia, you see koala bears?
No, I didn't. I
I
didn't.
love
And
koala
I
bears.
didn't see
Koala
kangaroos
bears.
either. I was in Sydney, Australia. So
Okay.
if I went out a bit more, into the rural areas, I imagine I would have seen more of the wildlife. But
Mhm.
it was more so just the urban life that I saw, in the city, and
Okay.
getting to see the Sydney Opera House, or the
Mhm.
harbor, getting to see that. That was beautiful, seeing the Darling Harbor as well. But yeah, I was really grateful. I felt like Sydney was extremely bright. Being in Sydney, it just seemed like it was so bright, and the people were very welcoming as well. So,
That's cool.
mhm.
7 continents before 30. Wow.
Yeah, and I
Wow,
took my
that's more
first
than you
I took my first trip abroad at the age of 26,
Okay.
and I made it to Antarctica at 29.
Right before 30. Okay.
And
Wow.
I taught in China. I was blessed to teach in China for a year and a half. I taught at two universities in Saudi Arabia, the first being the largest women's university in the world, which is Princess Noor University. The
Okay.
university is so massive that it has a monorail, like a train on campus that goes around.
Really?
Yes, yes.
Wow.
It is a stunning campus. And then I was also able to teach at King Salve University, and those students, those girls are the ones who taught me about Snapchat. So I got on Snapchat while I was in Saudi Arabia, because the Saudi girls were like, "Teacher, are you on Snap? Are you on Snap?"
Party girls.
So Saudi girls, yeah, they taught me. So, and I just communicated with some of them this week. I had posted on
Wow.
Snapchat, and they're like, "Miss Johnson, you've not been on Snapchat in a long time." I'm like, "I know, I'm usually on Instagram. Forgive me." But all of that, I don't think would have happened had
Hmm.
I not, been afflicted. I don't. I so
Why,
it
why,
really.
why do you think that is? Why do you think that? Why do you think that is? Like,
I think that I wanted to celebrate, that victory of
mhm.
recovering and pushing through. So that just opened up this whole new desire to live and live well.
I definitely agree with that. I definitely agree.
Yeah, to give it my all, to explore endless possibilities,
Yeah.
and to be hungry for life, and
Hmm.
to be teachable. I think it's so important to be teachable. This affliction has taught me a lot, and then going out into the world, you learn and you glean so much from your
Hmm.
environment, from your travels, from your
Hmm.
experiences. So I think it's positioned me, to be more teachable. Even when I hear about different matters around the world, I'm hungry, and I'm curious, and I'm learning, and always trying to glean enough so that I am able to give and deposit, into others
Yes.
however I can.
So why do you think? Why do you think we don't live until we're conflicted or something happens? Why do you think that is?
I think I was doing a fine job of living, honestly.
Well, to be honest.
I was living I was living a very vibrant, full life. I was doing the most, actually. That's probably what attributed to me being afflicted, doing too
So
much.
much good.
So,
Good.
I was taking 22.5 credit hours. I was working two
Wow.
jobs. I was in an
Wow.
unhealthy relationship that ended in sexual abuse. And so my body
Hmm.
was like, sit
Hmm.
down.
That's a
Um,
reset. Hmm.
yeah. So, I mean,
Hmm.
I was doing a lot. I was doing a lot. Um, and it wasn't necessarily bad.
Hmm.
It just perhaps wasn't timed well. That's
Okay.
what I talked about, pace. I remember my dad at one point, um, he called me my senior year, just a few weeks before graduation, and he said, "Karissa,
Hmm.
I just want you to know, I know you have a lot on your plate. If you don't finish, that's okay. If you need
Okay.
if you need to withdraw from some classes or whatever, that's okay." And I was like, "No, I can do it. 22.5 credit hours is almost a double load." so that was my warning, and unfortunately I didn't take that wisdom to
Mm.
pace myself properly. So sometimes we live a little, do a little bit too much,
Too
and
much. Yeah.
we need to
Free.
scale back and
Live a
see.
little.
And
Yeah.
yeah, scale back and say, okay, am I doing this? All that I'm doing, is it for applause?
Mm-hmm.
Or am I doing this for a greater cause?
Okay.
As we're making our choices to show up, to share, what is our motive?
Yeah.
So I think, in living, we really have to live and give from a pure place.
Absolutely.
Because if you don't, you just miss out. Because it's just a beautiful
Mm-hmm.
thing when you can give from a pure place, you can reap,
Yes.
you can receive the
Absolutely.
pure things, the pure harvest that's called to be yours. So yeah, I think balance is really important. I think pace is very important, and I think living as you're called in each season is important as well.
I agree.
And for me, as someone who's traveled, to so many countries around the world, and being in the pandemic, it's very easy to be like, oh, I want that life. Why don't I
Yeah.
realize, to everything there is a season,
That's it.
and there could be a season of stillness,
That's it.
there could be a season of rapid pace. You just
Mm-hmm.
have to really be sensitive to that and surrender to it and find peace. And if you don't have peace, ask the Lord, God, give me peace in this
Yes.
peculiar season. you
Please and
know
thank you. Please and thank you.
I haven't had a stamp in my passport since 2019. God help me, Lord. you know
I gotta get started. I gotta get started.
Yeah, yeah. There's so much for us out there, and in time,
Okay.
we'll walk into those new things.
Yes. So you're a mom teacher. I love. I'm like, look at her as a teacher. You're so animated. You're so like vibrant. You're so lively. Like, I know the kids love you. Like, I
Thank
know,
you.
yes, Karissa. So what would you be a teacher? Like, what's that like? Like, the teacher
You know,
life.
I started off as a special education major, and
Okay.
with a concentration in teaching English as a second language. Well, my
Mm-hmm.
senior year, I changed my major. Who changes their major their senior year? See, doing too much. To international community development, and I
Okay.
still kept my concentrations in special education and teaching English as a second language. So I knew that I loved the look on
Hmm.
students' faces when they got it. That I'm telling you, that gives me so much joy when teaching, especially teaching new material, when they connect, if it's math, if it's science,
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is. Now as a substitute teacher, I get to build relationships quickly. I'm able to, satisfy that desire even to travel by going to different schools just
Yeah.
about every day, building relationships quickly, and then also building rapport, because as you're going to certain schools over and over again, you really get to have connections with students and teachers.
Definitely.
And I feel like that's really important, making impact, and showing up as you are to deposit
Mm-hmm.
whatever you're called to give. And so I love seeing students grow, whether they're a kindergartner or whether they're a
Mm-hmm.
senior, taking a Spanish class, and they're like, oh no, I understand what that is. I love seeing them grow. And then also I just love, the feedback that I've gotten, that they feel seen. I think it's very
Yeah.
easy, just to go in your normal routines, daily, as teachers carry so much,
I'm sure. Yeah.
so
Absolutely.
much.
Absolutely.
I have friends who, are traditional classroom teachers, and I
Mm-hmm.
have some friends who are substitute teachers. But what I'm telling you, I talked to one of my best friends yesterday who teaches English at high school, and I'm like, girl, how do you do it? Because it's easy for a substitute teacher to walk in and be like, hi everyone,
Right.
and that's one day, and then you
Yeah.
leave.
That's
You don't
it.
have any homework. You don't have the
Mm-hmm.
relationships with the parents. That's a heavy load. So I consider it, again, an honor to be able to go into classrooms, to have close relationships with the students, over the course of the school year, and seeing them at Walmart, and then, Miss Johnson, you taught my
Yeah.
music class. It's
Yeah.
just, it's special. I think
Absolutely.
that's, the field of education is one that's not highly celebrated, or really acknowledged in in the light that it really should be. Whether whatever position you're in, even like all the paras that work in special education,
Mm-hmm.
and they work so delicately with students. I get to see
Yeah.
that. There's no way that our children would blossom if it were not for our paras, and if it were not for our teachers and our administrators. They all play such an important role. But I don't know, I just really felt led to shout out the paras because they don't really always get a lot of love, but they work so hard.
Definitely good.
They
Yeah.
work so hard, especially with our students who have special needs. And so when you're called to students, when you're called to a position that is unassuming, perhaps unpopular, and not always celebrated, man, you're called to something with great depth.
Yes, absolutely. And
So
it's gonna last. It has longevity. So
yes, it does.
mhm.
It impacts generations upon generations.
Yes. Yes, but it might be popular at the moment, but it'll be popular, like it'll last longer.
Yes,
Like,
absolutely.
it's not a fad. It's just it's a longevity thing. So
Mm-hmm.
I agree with
Mm-hmm.
that. So why do you think it's important to have something that inspires you?
Say that one more time.
Why do you think it's important to have something that inspires you to do something that inspires you?
Because it fuels you. It
Okay.
fuels you. It gives you the fire that you need
Mm.
to move.
Yes.
My big thing is go, do, be. That I do that as my hashtag all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I wrote a song called Go Do Be, and my children's book, God willing, will be out this summer. That's called Go Do Be.
Yay.
And I
Mhm.
I constantly am inspired by my students, the thousands of them that I have because of
Mhm.
all the
Yeah.
schools that I've taught at,
Yeah.
this school year specifically, and they inspire me. They inspire me. I think it's important to be inspired because you realize that someone is expecting something from
Mhm.
you. They are believing in you, and they want you
Mhm.
to show up and show out.
That's
And
right.
so with my students, they're just like, Miss Johnson, tell me about this. You said that you went there. You were going to be going to this country. How was it? Tell me about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So it's like this sense of expectation. And if you have a sense of expectation, you have someone or something that's inspiring you, you're
Mhm.
not going to be okay with being complacent where you are in life. You're going to
Definitely.
constantly be challenged to grow, to stretch, and to propel yourself forward, to launch out into the deep.
I love.
And I think that it's really important to be surrounded by people who inspire you. And my goodness, don't small people, little people inspire you? Because they're like, can you open this? Oh, thank you. Or
Yeah.
can you draw this for me?
Mhm.
Wow. And so it's just like,
That's amazing.
man, you mean something to someone. And when you
Yeah.
mean something to someone, you sit up straight and
You
tall,
do.
and
You
you
do.
speak clearly and loudly, and you try to bring your best. So I
Mhm.
think it's really important um, to have people around you that inspire you, because it fuels you for more. It fuels
So
you to go.
go further.
Hmm.
I love that. So go do be. What is you said in one of your videos? What does that mean exactly? Go.
Okay, go. So my lyrics for my song are: go into everywhere that you must go. Go
Okay.
and do everything that you must do.
Mm-hmm.
Go and be everything that you must be. That is why we are singing Go Do Be. And that's my anthem. Go into everywhere. Everyone's called to somewhere different, someplace different, many places. Go and do everything that you must do. Everyone's called to do different things.
We are.
Go and be everything that you must be. And that really highlights all the textures and layers of who we are.
It
You're
is.
not just called to be one thing.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much that's inside of you. So that's why I always hashtag go do be. It's all tied up in that.
I was thinking like God do. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like this. God do. I'm like, wait a minute. It's not God, just God. I'm like, it's broken down. So I'm like, oh, I get it now. Like,
Yes, go do
go
be.
do be. So I got it now. So
Yes.
what else do you look forward to doing besides writing a book? Anything else in the works for you? Or anything you want to talk?
Well, this was one of the things my students made me do. One of my students, I was subbing for English, or maybe it was a time when it was definitely at the high school. But I was just sharing up. They're like, "You're a performer," because when you see me when I'm on my Instagram stories,
Yes.
they're like, "You're a performer. Have you ever thought of performing on a stage?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I love Broadway. That's a dream of mine." So I have applied for Hamilton, the Broadway production Hamilton.
Really?
Yes, I submitted my application, my video, my resume, all of that. I haven't heard back. Hamilton, but
Hamilton?
like that would be a dream. I also get to work in journalism
Okay.
through my denomination, the Church of God in Christ. I
Okay.
get to serve as an anchor and a reporter and a co-director for our news program. And so it's been a blessing to be able to use my skills of speaking,
Yeah.
to reach the masses. So I'm interested in journalism opportunities. I'm looking into that. I'm really open to anything that aligns with my purpose and with my calling with
I love it.
GoToBe. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
What so we gotta talk about this. Your thing with driving. The backward drivers, the reverse drivers.
Oh
I laugh. I'm like, oh my God, like what's your thing with reverse driving?
I have got to perfect it. I'm a military brat.
Okay.
And so
Okay.
military brats should know that you're supposed to park backwards. And I guess
Okay.
in some cities it's pretty much the custom to park backwards, but I've not perfected it. I'm still working on it. I've not arrived yet. Give me some time. Occasionally I'll nail it, but I struggle with parking forward. So how in the world am I gonna get this backward stuff together?
You're so hilarious. I love it. I love it.
I mean, even I was getting in the garage yesterday and I was thinking, man, I should try to park backwards. So that's another goal. You're inspiring me right now to try to park backwards in the garage. I just don't want to hit anything, and I have a quote unquote regular car. I don't have the fancy screen where you can see it where you're
Right.
backing into. I have a regular. I haven't upgraded all the way yet. So maybe if I had the little fancy rear view camera thing, then I'd find a little bit more confidence in
I love
parking
it.
backwards. Not
I
there
love
yet.
it. I love it. Oh my goodness. Gibbies, the Gibbies.
Oh,
I love the Gibby. I love the Gibby video. I love it. It's like one of my favorite. I'm like, oh my God. I watched it like a thousand times. I thought it was so hilarious. I had to watch it. I'm like, this is so. Yeah, I watched it. It's so hilarious. I have to
oh
watch
my
it. So
goodness.
it's
I
so
just
hilarious. I
I
love
thought
it.
that for those who don't know, I did this kind of like it was kind of like a satire. I was mocking
Mm-hmm.
those who do giveaways,
Giveaway.
and I was like, we're gonna do a givey. I called it a givey, and this guy in India thought it was so funny because I don't know. I was like, we're doing a
It's
givey, and
hilarious.
when people do giveaways, they have all of these
All these
requirements.
rules.
I'm
Yes.
telling you, they'll be like, tag 16 of your friends and write an essay,
Everything stories and all kind of stuff.
share it to your story, share it to your profile,
Yes.
tag 16 people. I'm like, y'all are doing too much. So I had to mock, I had to kind of to joke a little bit about that.
It's so
So that
funny.
was fun, doing a gimme.
You're
So
hilarious. I
that
love
was
it.
well received.
I love it. And I love your videos you walking outside. I've never done it before. I never walked
Um,
outside. Not in the grass, not in the grass, not barefooted. Like this,
yeah,
I've never tried it before.
I'm telling you, it really does um, really kind of calm me in the morning if I had a bad dream or
Mm-hmm.
woke up in a bad mood or I just want to be refreshed.
Mm-hmm. You
Able to
do
go
it every
outside
morning?
every
You
morning.
do it every morning. Wow.
hmm every morning, and if I miss a morning, ooh, it's not a good thing. So
No,
that's
they
very
don't make fun
very rare for me to miss a morning. Oh, now excuse me, I was out of town in Dallas
Mm-hmm.
for 5 days, and I was in a hotel, so I didn't have my grass that I have,
Mm-hmm.
out here. This is just
Yeah.
cement outside. So I did go 5 days, and some of my friends on Instagram were like, "Where's the morning refreshing? We want
Right.
to, we want to see you walking in
Yeah.
the grass because
Yeah.
it's calming. And this morning it was pouring rain. It
Mm.
was pouring rain, and I haven't had a raining morning refreshing in a long time. A rainy morning refreshing, but it was beautiful
I'm sure.
just to go out and they call it grounding. I call it refreshing.
Mm.
You're having the time to be refreshed, and
Yes.
there are a lot of health benefits that I've learned, that I'm still learning about walking barefoot outdoors.
Mm.
It apparently there's a lot of health benefits to it.
Thank-
Yeah, so they're
uh,
very holistic.
mm.
Holistic practice is to walk barefoot if you can. Get some part of the earth in your hands or in your feet
Yeah.
somehow. It
It's-
is. I mean, I've taken time outside just to touch plants and things like that, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful to connect with nature.
Wow. So, what words of encouragement would you give someone who went through something you've been through? What words of encouragement would you tell somebody who's been through your situation or just overcoming it or going through it now? Would you tell someone?
Be patient and have faith. Stay
Okay.
hopeful.
Okay.
Be
Okay.
patient, have faith, stay hopeful, and if you can, document your journey.
Hmm.
Take time to write things out. Today I am mad that I can't
Yeah.
XYZ, or today I can finally blah blah blah.
I love that.
It's a good thing to be able to reflect and see your process and your progress. So
Mm.
I say, be patient with yourself, have faith, be hopeful, and
Mm.
document your journey. Celebrate the small wins,
I love that.
celebrate your small victories,
Yes.
and know that greater is coming.
Yeah, a lot of times we get caught up in comparing ourselves. Oh, she's so further along than me. Oh, they're so further along. Not knowing that your journey is your journey. You
It
know.
is. It
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so important not to compare,
Mm-hmm.
because you could see someone else and think, well, they fully recovered and I'm still suffering. That's
Mm-hmm.
not fair.
Mm-hmm.
Or the other opposite end, where, man, I'm not suffering like they're suffering.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a place where you should be comparing. You should celebrate your journey and encourage others along the way. So I've been approached by many stroke survivors,
Mm-hmm.
or even friends or family of stroke survivors who have said, hey, can you tell me, um, some of the things that worked for you?
Mm-hmm.
My mother had a stroke, or my friend is going through, right now because of a stroke. And I'm able to offer my experience and my story, but
Mm-hmm.
ultimately it's like, be patient,
Mm-hmm.
be patient, have faith. Your mental health is so important as you're trying to achieve physical healing. Your
Absolutely.
mind is part of your body, and so
Mm-hmm.
you have to make sure that your mind is in a place, where you believe and where you're hopeful and you have faith.
Absolutely. I definitely agree with that. And I thank you for this interview. Make sure you follow Karissa on Instagram. Your Instagram at 7 by 30. The number 7 spelled out SEVEN by 30. I thank you, Karissa, so much for this, just taking your time out to talk with me, and I've had fun. I'll give you, sorry, never give it for you, but
I wish I had a givey. I wish I had a But thank you. Thank you so much. It was an honor. Thank you,
thank you.
Erica.
Thank you for participating. Thank you all watching TV Uncovered 2, Season 2. I'm signing out. Erica Renee Walker signing out. Bye. See you later.